Hey guys, my name is Aditya Andinas and I'm doing my presentation on Southeast Asia. I have picked 5 topics that I'm going to cover, which are globalization, human rights, terrorism, trade bloc, and environment. Globalization has tremendous impacts on the region. Utilizing globalization, Southeast Asia has able to improve the economy and increase the trade volume. At first, globalization was seen as a method used by Western countries to invade the region. They feared that globalization would erode the traditional values that they have embraced. Asian financial crisis in 1998 forced Southeast Asian countries to liberalize some sectors of their economies. This led to privatization to some government-owned corporations in the region. Today, Southeast Asian countries have embraced globalization to gain advantages from it. Globalization also led to the formation of ASEAN, or Association of Southeast Asian Nations, in 1967. Founded by Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and the Philippines, today ASEAN has 10 members, including Cambodia, Brunei, Laos, Burma, and Vietnam. ASEAN was formed to defend the region from negative influence from outside the region, as well as to evade potential conflicts among the members. Here is a picture comparing economic and the GDP of ASEAN with China, India, Brazil, and Russia. Here are pictures showing labor force and economic growth of ASEAN. Human rights in Southeast Asia. Almost every country in Southeast Asia has experienced the eras of dictatorship. Almost every country in the region has experienced turbulent times. Human rights and democracy were considered as propaganda triggered by the Western countries to penetrate the region. The countries in the region were so reluctant to changes and replace the traditional beliefs that they have cherished. The citizens were considered as subjects that were owned by the government. Indonesia was one of the countries that has experienced the dark era of dictatorship. Suharto was the second president of Indonesia. He ruled the country for 31 years from 1667 to 1998. He was considered the most controversial president in Indonesia. Under his administration, Indonesia had strong economic growth as well as improvements of education, health, and living standard. Although Indonesia had strong economic growth, the authoritarian regime faced strong opposition from the people. People who opposed the administration were either sent to jail or faced capital punishment. The public were outraged when they learned that the government used hidden snipers to shoot some of the university students who asked Suharto to step down from the throne. Today, the Indonesians have the ability to speak up their mind and criticize the government without getting persecuted. Indonesia has become more tolerant to human rights, although some sectors are still facing discrimination. The Indonesian government only recognizes 6 religions, which are Islam, Christianity, Roman Catholic, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Konghucu. People who do not believe in God and believe in other religions are forced to choose one of the 6 official religions. In 2007, ASEAN members signed a charter that ensured the democracy in the region and respect and protect human rights and personal freedom. Why the sudden changes? Why have the Asian countries accepted the rebel agendas? It has been revealed that European Union would not finalize the EU-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement until human rights and freedom have been restored in Burma. Burmese government was condemned on the event where Burmese government used violence against a peaceful demonstration in 2007. Terrorism in Southeast Asia. On October 12, 2002, 3 bombs exploded in Kuta Tourism District of Bali, Indonesia. The explosions killed 202 people, in which 164 were foreigners and 38 were Indonesians. The perpetrators of the Bali bombings were confirmed as the members of Jemaah Islamiyah, in which an Islamic extremist organization focuses in Southeast Asia that can be linked to Al-Qaeda and Taliban. Jemaah Islamiyah was also responsible for the 2004 Australian embassy bombing in Jakarta and the second Bali bombings in 2005. The bombings hurt the Indonesian tourism deeply, as foreigners were afraid to visit the country. Jemaah Islamiyah used suicide bombings as their method of terrorism to threaten status quo of the region in order to justify the creation of Islamic states. Founded by Abu Bakar Ba'asyir in 1993, Jemaah Islamiyah recruited its members from Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and the Philippines to carry out the bombings. To anticipate Jemaah Islamiyah, the United States trained and funded the Indonesia's SWAT to prevent further terrorism. Since then, the majority of Jemaah Islamiyah leaders have been captured and killed. Jemaah Islamiyah can be considered as an organization who perform religious form terrorism. The Moro Islamic Liberation Front is an Islamic separatist group in the Philippines who wish to create an Islamic state in southern Philippines. The group reached an agreement to cease fire with the Philippines government in 2008. The agreement provided the group an establishment area comprised of large part of Mindanao. The group was allowed to create their own government as long as it had associative relationship with the Philippines government. Right after the agreement was signed, the Christian politicians filed a lawsuit against the Philippines government and argued that the agreement was unconstitutional. The Philippine Supreme Court ruled in favor of plaintiff. The ruling led to renewed fighting between the Philippines government and the separatist group. Unlike the Philippines and Indonesia that are facing threats from terrorist groups, Singapore and Malaysia are experiencing stable national securities. Although Malaysia is politically stable, the country is considered a hotspot of global terrorism as some of the perpetrators of the attacks reportedly met in the country. Most countries in Southeast Asia implement free trade to some extent, since most of them except East Timor are members of World Trade Organization. Although Southeast Asia implement free trade, the government still plays an important role on setting the subsidies and on export and import. ASEAN implements free trade agreement in the region as their type of trade bloc. Asian Free Trade Agreement, or AFTA, requires its members to reduce their tariffs and eventually remove them completely. AFTA consists of 10 members of ASEANs, which are Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar. AFTA is created to increase the region's trade volume as well as attract foreign direct investment to Asia. Southeast Asia is considered as a hotspot of foreign direct investment. Foreign firms invest their money in the region to take advantage of the different tax rate and cheap labors. Foreign firms build their factories in the region to exploit the cheap labors to decrease production costs and increase revenue. The capital flow into the region does not come freely. Factories that has been built create water and air pollution problems in the region that have significant impact to the health of people who live near the factories. Not only water and air and water pollution, the region is also suffered from deforestation. Indonesia has lost almost half of its forest due to deforestation. Indonesia has the second biggest rainforest in the world after Brazil. Rainforest in Indonesia is important to the world considering its position as the lung of the world. Any alteration to the rainforest in Indonesia can have significant